Okay, so there is mayhem happening in Madagascar, a major coup d'etat. Yes, and the government has asked the army to shoot on protesters. Did the army shoot and unalive civilians? We're going to find out about this. Yes, fellas, it's happening in Madagascar. Crazy stuff at this very moment. Now, a youth-led protest has spurred mayhem and havoc in the cities, and many people are down on the floor. There's major fear all across the country, and I know a lot of people ask me to speak about this, and we're going to talk about this. This is Madagascar on a map. You see that? Yes, Madagascar is not that cartoon you watch on TV. No, it's not that. No. Madagascar is actually a real country in Africa. And sometimes when you see the African map, unfortunately, they tend to omit Madagascar. And that is very sad. Yeah, people will show you this, but they will not show you this with Madagascar next to it. And that's not only Madagascar. There's also Sao Tome and Principe. You see on the map? Yeah, that's Sao Tome and Principe. Many people don't talk about it. Let's get back on track. Okay, what's happening in Madagascar? This is crazy stuff. There is crisis in Madagascar, fellas. A youth-led protest erupted in Madagascar. People were very angry and they came down the street. What was the protest about? People were very angry over electricity, water shortage, corruption, and economic hardship. So electricity, water shortage, corruption, and economic hardship. And I know this is not something very new to you. In a lot of countries, you see such things. Yes, fellas, in many African countries, unfortunately, you still find places where electricity is not permanent. It's not 24 hours a day. In some countries, people get electricity for 3 hours, then it's darkness. And it's very sad. Now, in Madagascar, they had enough, and that was not to be continued. That's why the youth came down the street very angry. Now, why is there no electricity in Madagascar, you're asking yourself? Number one, aging infrastructure. Madagascar's power grid and generation facilities are decades old and poorly maintained. You know, in Africa, in many cases, sometimes even the colonizer will come and build infrastructure, and the colonizer will leave. And Africans will not maintain what the colonizer nor upgrade did in the country. And this is very, very sad. Now, let me put it this way for you. Let's say whoever created the electricity grid planned it for 100 people. Okay, well, he left now. You have the country. You've been making babies like little flies. You have about 20,000 people or 30,000 living in a power grid that was supposed to take care of 100 people. And you don't pay attention to that. You don't upgrade or maintain. What do you expect? You're going to have load shedding. You can't have enough electricity to supply to everybody because initially it was planned for 100 people. That is one of the biggest problems of Madagascar. Now, how do you get to that? Very simple. Corruption. Because the people that are in power, instead of managing the country correctly, they will use the funds that are allocated to construction and development and maintenance for their own purposes. Like I always say about it, they will build their personal houses, they will marry a second, a third, and a fourth wife, and spend money on a side chick, completely neglecting infrastructure that are crucial to the country. Now, in most cases in Africa, it works because a lot of Africans are cowards. Okay, they have no courage, like the Malagasys, to come in the street and push the president out. And a lot of Africans are treaters. Okay, if you dare come in the street and fight the president, your neighbor will go tell on you and they will take you out. So many Africans are scared to actually stand and fight for the freedom because you never know, maybe the neighbor's been reporting on you and you might just disappear at night. Let's continue. Number two, the Malagasy accuses a company named Jirama of corruption. What is Jirama? Jirama is a country that processes electricity and water distribution in the country. So Jirama is a state-owned company. Now, the country accuses Jirama of prioritizing elites only above everybody else. Meaning when it comes to electricity, they will supply to elites. We're talking about businessmen, politicians, and Senate first, and water, and other people will suffer. You know, it's very sad because this is a reality of many countries in Africa again. People are happy provided they are drinking champagne. They don't worry about anybody else. So it doesn't matter for many people if Mr. T or Mr. G had no food at all, provided they had food, they don't give a continental. Demonstrators accuse the government of 16 years of inaction, targeting institutions like Senate, Electoral Commission, and Constitutional Court as an elitist and ineffective. So basically they're saying you running the country like shit. Yes, so these people have courage. Malagasy people were brave enough to tell the country government that you are running the country like shit and now you're going to get out. African countries in this big bloc don't have the guts to do that. Only few countries, and unfortunately, like in Kenya, people came in the street fighting some sort of a fake tax that the government came up with. You know, government needs money and sometimes they misuse money. That's how they don't have money. You know, they have money, but then they misuse money. They don't use the money for the things they needed the money for. Then they're going to have to milk the people to make them pay more tax. Then the people of Kenya came in the street fighting over that. And unfortunately, some other Kenyans went to accuse these Kenyans and those Kenyans got arrested. And that's very sad. Well, this is not the reality of Madagascar. In Madagascar, everybody came in the street fighting against the elite. They're accusing them of 16 years of misuse of the country's fund. They need to respond. Well, the protest succeeded because something interesting happened. When the people were protesting in the street, some of the government members asked the military to shoot down the protesters in the street. Yes, shoot them down, because this is what happens a lot. It happens in Kenya too. You know, they shot a couple of people. That's the way they scare the majority of the civilians. Shoot 2 or 3, they're going to run away. They won't come back. It happens in many places in Africa too. Well, in Madagascar, they asked the military to shoot down the civilians running for their right. Guess what the military did? They said, no, we're not doing that. Sorry, sir, but we are not doing that.
Let us be united, soldiers, gendarmes and police. Do not let money bribe us into shooting our friends, brothers and sisters. We are the people. Return to the population.
So a soldier has the right and the capability to refuse an order if he deems it to be unacceptable, inadequate. Unfortunately, many don't do that. They don't have the guts because they're scared. When they stand like that, they might just get finished, if not unalived. Well, the military in Madagascar stood up next to the people. They say, no, enough is enough. Maybe the president needs to go. It's about time. The president of Madagascar, this man right here, he tried to dissolve the parliament to save himself. You know, this is what they do when things get very rough and difficult and he cannot make decisions anymore. He will dissolve the parliament. Well, he tried to do it over his cell phone or social media, and that didn't work very well. Now, this man right here, Colonel Michael Radririna, so he has just murdered his name right there, he backed the protester. Part of the military declared a takeover, dissolving the governing bodies.
From now on, all orders of the Malagasy army, whether air, land, sea, will originate from Capsat headquarters.
So remember again, politicians are not the most powerful people in the country. I know they think they are, but they're not. The people are, but the people need to be supported by the army. I mean, look at Ibrahim Traoré, Mali and Niger. These are the people that have taken over the countries from politicians, because politicians in most cases are just thieves. The majority of politicians in Africa are just thieves. I mean, people do politics in Africa not because they want to fix the countries, not at all. They do it because they want to be rich. They want to travel to Shanghai and Hong Kong without a visa. That's what they do it for. Listen, politicians in Africa behave like movie stars. Did you know that? They behave like movie stars. They think they're the shit. Now, who was the ousted president? Well, the ousted president used to be a mogul, a media mogul, an entrepreneur. He owned the Viva TV and radio. So he was prominent as a person. And using his media, he made a lot of coverage for himself until he became a mayor. And once he became a mayor, he had so much following that he ousted the previous president. So the current president also ousted another president through coup. In 2009, Radjola led a mass protest against the then president Mark Ravamolonana. Sorry, I murdered his name too, accusing him of authoritarianism and corruption. Now remember, again, one thing. Why are they ousting him? Because of corruption, mismanagement, and many other things. Why did he oust the previous president? Because of authoritarianism and corruption. So the same thing they kicked the previous president out is the same thing he's being kicked out for. It's crazy stuff. Now, the other thing this president is accused of is his dual citizenship. Now, he's a president of Madagascar. He also holds a passport from France. Now, people are asking, like, who are you truly loyal to? You have a French passport and a Malagasy passport. I mean, I don't know if presidents should be able to hold two passports. I just don't know about that. You know, it's just crazy stuff. He's been saved at the last minute from an aeroplane from France that took him out of Madagascar to a next country. And people say that he has gone actually to his real country where he belongs. Now, this president was first discovered by many people through COVID. You remember during COVID? when the Europeans blocked everything, there was knockdown and lockdowns everywhere across the world. He said Madagascar had found something interesting to cure COVID. Artemisia, okay? It was a drink, a concoction that Africans in Madagascar were drinking to prevent COVID-19 from developing. Interestingly, for many, many months, none of the Malagasy was unalived. And the Europeans were very interested to understand what was in that concoction that Malagasy people were drinking. And crazily, a German firm, after getting some sample from this very special drink, crazily, a couple of days after, people started dying in Madagascar. Now, some people believe that after they took that sample, they tweaked and twitched the virus in a way that that concoction could not protect it anymore. I mean, people talk a lot of things. Is this true or not? We don't know. Question mark. Was this president faithful to his country, or was he faithful to the French? Well, many people believe he opened major doors to French companies. In matter of fact, the French Army's national uniform was being sold in Madagascar. It was being put together in Madagascar, no more in France. And people were asking the question, why? Obviously, it cost much cheaper in Madagascar, but this is the French Army national uniform. I mean, why would you give it to a foreign firm? I mean, we're talking about France. This is not like a shithole country in Africa. This is France. And I know you feel triggered by that. You should be feeling triggered by that. So you don't be shithole no more. Doesn't make sense, right? Let me know how you feel about this, fellas. Do you think Africa can learn something? What can Africans learn from Madagascar? It's a very diverse country. You don't only see black-looking people. There are very diverse people. Very interesting culture. What can Africa learn from this? Can the people understand that they have the power? If they come out the street and they are supported by their cousins in the army, nobody can stand against them. God bless.